phone calls. I mean, that's crazy. All right.
You're on.
I'd like to call to order our regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Finance for Wednesday, September 11th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since there's nobody here, roll call, we're missing 2 members tonight. Public comment, nobody's here. The communications.
I'll make a motion, we had communication from several letters from Andy Korea, one from Wendy Youngblood and one from Rosie Fernandez.
Okay, and
I'll make a motion to approve the August 7th special meeting minutes and the August 26th special meeting minutes.
I'll second.
any discussion? Hearing none, take a vote, all approved,
Aye.
4-0. All right, since the first selectman's not here,
All
let's
right.
do the Board of Ed.
All right. You want the screen?
No, I mean, so I just wanted to preface this, we've moved our finance committee meetings to Thursdays now. So I do have the September financials, but just note that the board hasn't even received, or the committee hasn't even received them yet, but Casey was comfortable with me sharing this with you. And just kind of keep in mind that we are just a few weeks into the start of school. So whereas I have projections, obviously we're gonna get more accurate as we continue to have more operational invoices and bills and stuff come in. So, okay, so on a positive front, nearly all of our new hiring is complete, and we have come very close to achieving the $200,000 in savings. That was largely due to a lot of veteran teachers that had retired and replacing them with, step 1, step 2 teachers. A lot of them are actually BHS grads, so it was nice to kind of welcome them back.
So is that going to get thrown up on the screen when you're showing us how you're doing?
I didn't actually send this,
Okay.
but we will
We
send
have a
it to you
meeting
guys
tomorrow.
after our meeting tomorrow. So yeah, you'll have it in hard copy too.
And I'll put it on the screen.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, so we also have some salary savings due to some unpaid leaves. So depending on when those, when those people come back, any vacancies that we fill, so we have a projection on that savings, at least for now. You guys were updated on the increase in delivery charges for electricity. So right now, we're still projecting that as a shortfall of around 150,000. And so as of the opening of school, we're estimating a net shortfall also in special education, tuition, and transportation of approximately 426,000. That's due to just some shifts in our outplacements. We've had, I think, 7 new outplacements, but 5 that were outplaced returning to the district. And we've also had some shifts in transportation due to student needs, having to put paras on the bus with some students and things like that. So having to split runs instead of combining them. So all of those shifts kind of netted out to 426,000. And as always, the budget will continue to be closely monitored, and we'll kind of sharpen those numbers as we get closer, or a few months in. We're still projecting a shortfall, savings in the magnet and VOAG tuition, but we still haven't gotten any bills for that yet, so we're just hoping that our projections are accurate there. So what you see there is what we can project for our September financials, and
On the teacher turnover savings, what happened there? Because John sent me an email that had 207, so we were 7,000 ahead. We went backwards by
yeah, I saw that
17,000.
too. I will get clarification from Casey on that tomorrow and send it, when I send these reports over to you, I'll ask her that and have an answer for you there.
And then what is the gain on the open position remaining? So we're now going to be a month into this before you hired someone, so that should be an offset.
Right, and that should be baked into the salary savings, that 99,000 for teacher leaves and vacancies, because that would be an open position that we're not paying right now. So that should be in there.
So that the 99,000 as of 9/10 is still rolling though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, so depending on, some of those leaves, they know when the person will be returning,
Fair
so
enough.
then we can project that, but sometimes, at least with the vacancies, we don't know when we can fill it.
And the special ed and special ed transportation are forecasted out for the year?
Yes. Yeah.
So the transportation, unless something changes, that should be roughly within
Yeah,
reason. I mean,
yeah.
I know it can't be
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say.
And the long-term subs, that is not budgeted for. So
No.
that 23, we're only a month into this and we're at 23.
Right. Right. So that's what we were kind of, debating, like, sort of at the end of last year was, how do we accurately sort of capture, teacher turnover savings, other salary savings, and the fact that we don't budget for long-term substitutes, but that has to be offset by the salary savings, so, yeah.
Ryan, any questions?
On the special ed, can you just make sure I understand what that means, the 7 new outplacements and 7? Just the terminology, what outplacement means.
Sorry. So some students with special needs they don't get their education within district. They go to specialized schools that could be either down county, sometimes in New York. So we are paying for that private, tuition, as well as the transportation.
So
for that
there's
child
a
together.
7 increase in the number of those students.
Yeah,
from
so
what
we
the budget
have,
would
I
be.
think, roughly 30 students that are outplaced. And that number, it's not always the same 30 students, I mean, for the most part it is, but we have 7 newly outplaced students, meaning they either moved into the district and already had that outplacement in place and now we're just picking up the bill for it, or they were students of ours in district and now they're being outplaced, so that's like 7 out. But then 5 students that were outplaced are now able to be educated within the district. Still with probably a lot of other services and assessments that, goes into other line items in the budget.
So the
but-
5 students were previously outplaced, so there's a.
Yeah, or they moved out of the, or they moved out of the district.
So there's a
yeah.
net plus 2 of outplacements and then net plus 5 of students that are now in district, basically.
Mhm.
Okay.
But that could change next
Yeah.
year.
Sure.
In other
Yeah.
words, somebody
That's
could be
today's-
outplaced next month
Sure.
and then
Right,
2 more people can move in. So that's why we budget the way we do, because you can't count that math.
Plus, not all outplacements are the same.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Right, everyone's unique, I would assume,
yeah.
to some degree.
Dan? Eileen?
I've got 2 questions that aren't related to this, which I'd like to, if I could ask them.
Sure.
So the first one is, just because it's been a while since we talked, that's all. The contract negotiations, is that for next fiscal year or the fiscal year after that?
So there have been 3 contract negotiations since I last saw you guys. We had nurses and secretaries,
Okay,
and I think that started for 24, 25.
Mm-hmm,
And the-
yeah, but I think, yeah,
But
yeah.
I think that the administrators will be, and correct me if I'm wrong, even though I was just doing this like 2 days ago.
actually, no, I think that, no, as soon as they're ratified, they go into effect.
Okay. The administrators we just finished this
Yep.
week, and I think those are 24, 25.
Yeah.
26, 26,
Yep.
27.
So we budget for, I believe it's pretty much 3%
Mhm.
across the board. So we try to keep to that, in negotiations, and obviously if there's changes, then we absorb
so
it.
these 2 are complete now, or?
Yeah, nurses and secretaries are complete, and
We just
the
signed
administrators
the-
is closed.
The TA, the temporary agreement,
Right, okay,
tentative agreement.
right.
Yeah.
If that's because it's not closed, then we shouldn't discuss it further, I'm okay with that, just, okay.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the teacher
It's
primary.
not due till next year.
It's not due till next
Yeah.
year, and it goes into effect for the 25, 26.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
You said you had 2 things.
Yeah, the other one was, way back, I don't even remember what it was, I don't even remember who suggested it, but someone was talking about, I don't know, I'm not gonna use the right word, doing a, audit's not the right word, but confirming that everybody in the school district lives in the school district.
Mm-hmm,
Is that something that's being done, being considered, not even being considered? Has there been any?
Do you have?
I haven't heard anything about that. We have a couple of provisions whereby non-residents can tuition in. Sometimes they're the children
Well, that's
of
fine, yeah.
employees.
Sure.
And then I know that there have been inquiries in the last couple of months where folks from out of district have said, I have no connection to the schools, what does it cost? And so they were provided with that information by the super. I don't know that an audit has been done because.
Yeah, no, that's not the word I really wanted to use, but.
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
some
Study.
people,
address
yes, yes.
verification.
Yeah, I
Some people
think,
would say there may be students, not even, any school district, there may be
Mhm.
students that don't live in the school district but like it and so somehow get their
I
kids to
might,
attend the
yeah.
schools.
I might be mistaken, but I can get clarification from John on this, but I feel like the more comprehensive enrollment study that we were thinking about doing, and then we went with like, sort of like the lower
Yeah.
version that was, I think the more comprehensive one may have had like a more in-depth study on that, perhaps. Or either that or there was some other cost implication that we've taken out of the budget, but I think we have, I know that we've put measures into place to somehow audit that in-house, but I can definitely get you more
Yeah, it'd be
information
good
on
to
how
know,
that's done,
yeah.
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
So
remember-
basically though, so
Yeah, go ahead.
we only do it at kindergarten.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
And
gonna
so
say,
I will
it's
tell
very
you,
interesting.
my
Yeah.
daughter lives in Hopkins, Mass, the #1 school district in the state, and they do this every year. She has to verify her home, she has to verify an electric bill, and she has to verify one other piece of information.
Wow.
And they found that there's a lot that they didn't know about at first, going into that school system, being dropped off and doing things. And it's such an impact with all these new people coming to town and everything that we don't know, because it's only done in kindergarten. So what happens is you come to you rent a place, you register your child for kindergarten, you move back to Danbury, and your child's still registered as a Brookfield resident.
Right,
I
yeah.
understand that
No,
that
yeah.
So
could be
the-
in the hypothetical. I wonder if it is in the actual, though.
You had no idea, right?
I know we have talked about it in the past, so I think we can definitely get information on
Okay.
how John does that.
We'll pass that along.
And maybe just knowing, well, yeah, even kindergarten, it could be someone who's verified in kindergarten, but something's changed and they've moved, so that's not ironclad either.
Right, I mean, every family has to annually update or verify their address information. Now, is there supporting documentation for that every year? No, but, I mean, yeah, we can
No,
certainly
they
figure
went through the
out
whole
what-
process, because they found
Yeah.
that there was a lot there, because they had such a good school district, that this was something that now they verify every year. My daughter has to supply information that, totally like a driver's license, to verify that, hey, we're still living here, we're paying our bills.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, anything else?
Would you please pass along to Naheed our thanks for her attendance as an observer for the negotiations. She was able to make a couple of meetings, even though I know that she's been really busy with travel. So we were grateful to have her there.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Have a nice night.
Thanks,
Thanks a
you
lot,
too.
Tricia.
Bye.
All right, Marcia, the room's yours since Steve's not here.
All right. I call this meeting adjourned.
We're good with that.
Okay. First thing, the books are closed for 2024. That, I'm sorry I sent out the reports late last night, but we did talk about moving money from the expenditures this year, transferring it, the Ricky Principal is what we call it, to capital non-recurring, to cover this one-time bump in electricity. So if you look at the books, that transfer has been made. We'll talk about it next quarter as far as approving it. I mean, it hasn't been made. I mean, it's on the reports to ask for a permission next month. Because we'll ask in October because I can't get everything done by the selectmen's meeting the first Monday in September. So I just wanted to note that that is in there. That we had talked about it. I don't know if everyone was in agreement, but just important to know, we said it was going to be based on if we could still sustain a fund balance increase. And so this is where the fund balance numbers are.
That's not just on the side, that's total fund, that's not just on the side.
that's not just unassigned, that, unassigned also went up, but, I think it's 17.4
17.4 unassigned?
unassigned. That, yes, that, it's a good revenue year.
That's great.
Um,
We shouldn't know.
So, and part of that unassigned is money that is assigned if we should need it for a future appropriation. So if it's, the part that's assigned for anything external is just encumbrances, and that's $68,000. So, that is the 23-24 update. The reports for all the different funds are in your email from me last night.
So how much is moving to the CNR and how much is going to the?
So-
What's the absolute number roughly?
CNR is 250, and everything else goes to fund balance, and I can pull that up on the screen. That 630. Oh, heaven forbid I have the revenue and expenditures on the same page. But it was about 2.4 million that we're adding to fund balance, that between revenues and expenditures, that we didn't use to balance this year's budget.
Okay, so, and that 2.4, is that what's getting split 50-50, or is that fully going to?
Oh,
the
that's,
fund
so and I realized today, I was thinking it was 50-50, and then there was, when I was pulling up the work paper to calculate it, that there is also a separate little allocation that talks about not more than 1% of the next year's budget will be added to that. So it's 2.7 million. Let me just pull up the work paper to so this is the calculation each year that we started with 0, and then down here we take either half of the surplus or 1% of the budget, whichever is smaller. I can't remember why we did that, but and so the first year the 1% was smaller. And so we moved the 1% up here. The second year, it's half of the surplus. The third year, it's 1% of the next year's budget. This year, it's 1%. So that amount that's available for appropriation last year was 1.8 million, and this year it's 2.7 million. And we've talked about that this may be necessary in future years to help smooth and bring down that debt bubble. It'd be great if we could, didn't have to, but that's what it's in there for. Or if we need more than what we have in a contingency. So that is last year's numbers, and again, all of those are budget to actual, approved transfers and proposed transfers are all in your packet. That I don't know of anything other than the 250 that's noteworthy in the transfers.
Do you have handy the assigned versus unassigned balances?
We do. Financial statements. Oh, there, yeah. So the assigned is 2,722,481.
Yep.
And the unassigned is 13,116,198.
No,
those numbers don't tie
They don't
back to what we
exact-
saw.
Yeah.
No, it's close, 13 and 2.7 is
Go up to the next
15.83.
Oh, yeah, there it is, 1583. I thought I had the same.
Yeah, they didn't.
So I got it right, yeah.
Yeah, I had the exact same.
All right.
There could be $6,000.
No, I
It's pretty damn close.
I think I was confusing millions and percentages, I was thinking seven.
All right.
I was at 7.
Yeah, that's okay.
I think they're $50 off.
Okay, we can manage that.
All right, so, but that's what we were gonna look at before we decided if we wanted to do that. With respect to this year, the electricity is our biggest issue that we know of. We have some small issues that we want to deal with at the first quarter. First quarter is always the toughest because nobody knows of any overages. They're all really nervous about giving up any money, but not so nervous about saying they need more. The biggest thing I can think of that we've had a change is in cleaning companies. That we found that we were having problems with the prior cleaning company, that the employees were coming to us saying that they haven't been paid. And it was concerning situations there, so we stopped using that cleaning company. But that's our biggest need as far as I can think of, other than the two we'll discuss separately, as far as transfers. We're still working with the fire department to transition the accounting to the town. It's a big job, and Lou and Jules have been spending hours and hours on it. Public Works, they have 2 employees on workers' comp. One may be a longer issue than the other. They have asked for a temporary worker to come in, full-time but temporary, they have 13 positions to fill the position while the person's out. So it's not a full load that we would have to pay, because workers' comp is paying part of the one's salary that's out. That was done at the selectmen's meeting on Monday night with an inter-department transfer. Ralph took it from his road maintenance account, because that and the storm, he believed that, since it's it doesn't have to go to the Board of Finance. Ralph believed that with all the storm maintenance that they have from the flooding, that he probably won't get to all the projects that he had lined up. And so for now, he was willing to take and transfer $21,000 from within his budget. The police.
But that's not like free money, because when these projects occur, we're gonna need to reimburse that 21,000. You're saying he won't get to the projects he was getting to, so that means at some point we're gonna get to these projects.
That's correct. That's correct. But he doesn't feel as though with 2 people down that and the crew that is less experienced than the other crews, that he would have enough that to make it through plowing season, and he wanted to get somebody in early enough, get them trained, get them revved up, so he's ready for that. And he may not need the whole amount. That would be if the person's out for the full year. That if that person comes back, then that amount isn't needed. But he does need somebody. With a crew of 13 people, he couldn't be down to just 11.
And whatever project gets deferred, he's not still gonna have enough manpower to do more work, so it's kind of kicking the can down the road, but it's
That's
not
what
like,
I'm saying.
but they're not,
It's
unless
just
we're
a
gonna
project,
increase
I
the
was leaving.
headcount.
Yeah, yep,
They're not gonna be able to get more done
agreed.
next year, so it just gets moved, something gets bumped off.
Yeah.
That's correct. The police was another adjustment that it doesn't need a budget transfer because it's all within the same budget, but Steve discussed it at the selectmen's meeting and wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of it. that they have, in using the words we use for boards of ed, leaves and vacancy savings, that I believe it's 4 or 5 officers, they've been down since July 1st. And I think 3 were sworn in last week. And there's a 4th. At the time the budget was made, there were 4 officers there that were not at the bottom step. And all of the new ones coming in are at the bottom step. So they have leaves and vacancy savings.
But
And-
that's built into their reverse contingency, correct, some of this?
Some of this is in the reverse contingency, although they've always managed, even last year with a tight budget, they managed to still return $100,000. It's not just salaries, but there's other stuff too. So, and then with that, they had talked, and I believe Steve brought it up at a meeting before, that they had in their budget for a new officer to start January 1st. And with the shortages that they've had in officers, they had wanted to move that forward so that that officer could get into the training as soon as possible, which I think is October. I don't know if that position's been filled yet, but we would have the funding in there to move that position earlier. They also are in need of a part-time records clerk, that they're just overwhelmed. I think we talked to you about that and the time it takes. They had a next priority form for a part-time records clerk. It didn't make it through the budget. And they've asked, they're desperate for that. They've asked for it to be reconsidered. The Board of Selectmen didn't want to do it in a vacuum, so they looked at all the next priority forms, and they did believe that that one would have been the highest priority of them. And so with the savings that they've had here, they're going to hire a part-time records clerk, a temporary part-time records clerk, so that that position can go through the budget process, and it's not committing us to that position in future years, because that would be a union position. So this is just a temporary position, and again, it all fits within the savings that they've had so far. Any questions on either of those? The financial statements. We prepare our own financial statements, soup to nuts, except for we don't write the audit report. And we do that, one, because it makes it a better product. Two, it saves us thousands of dollars directly and indirectly in the audit fees. The fact that they can come in and have a financial statement prepared for them and they know everything balances out. It was reiterated to me today that we are at the bottom of the audit fees, their lowest audit fee.
It's a good place to be.
That's where we want to be in.
We do all this work for them.
That's
Right,
right.
exactly.
But one thing that we've never really talked about that I think is important to talk about, and I had a late night last week on Friday night and was a little frustrated and counted them up. That one of the department heads said, I should have 10,000 left in that capital budget, and I can't find it, and oh my goodness, I saw it someplace, and my head was just spinning on capital projects, and all right, there was 2 sources of funding for that capital project. It's not in the one you're looking for, it's in this other one. But oh my goodness, why is my head spinning so much? But we voluntarily include an incredible amount of detail in the financial statements. That all those reports that you get every month listing capital projects by project and grants by grant, none of that is required in the financial statements. And I don't know of any other town that does it for every fund that they've got. So if you count them up, that is 459 little sub-financial statements in there. And, I hear about people questioning, well, the student activity funds. Look at the financial statements. They're all in there. 164 of them are in the financial statements. That if you want to know the details on a capital project or where do we stand on the ARPA, look at the financial statements. And again, none of that is required to be in there. That's part of why when we do it ourselves, it makes it a better product, because the auditor's not going to spend the time to do those schedules.
All of those statements over the last 5 years is just through the roof, just through the roof.
And we think that we're the only ones in Connecticut that do either one of those. That I know some of my former clients, I love those statements, that used to have the bonded capital, but the partner that took over my audits doesn't do it. That it's not time effective for him. So I just think that people need to look at that and just know that we're not required to do any of that, but that is for additional information that is so very helpful.
Thank you. And I think that's why the graphs and everything are heading in the right direction over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Everything, because of your detail, and this accountant has given us the tools to manage and to go back and have good solid data behind us and to see where we're headed. And again, it brings all of it to where we want to be. We managed through macro bursts, we've managed through pandemic, we've managed through a debt bubble. Taxes have been relatively flat or within reason. The increases, and we have solid, it's not a house of cards either. This is all based on solid data, solid fiscal management, and solid ways of recording our data. So thank you. I mean, this is,
Yeah, I just thought that was, since I counted.
That said, if you look at that, I don't know anything about this, but a third of your accounts are student activity accounts. Those have to be the smallest accounts,
Yeah.
right? So if you were gonna say, do you really have to do all this stuff, you would look.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't look at any of the other lines if you were gonna ask that question, but you might wanna look at that.
Those
Yeah.
are also highly sensitive accounts that, they're coming from kids and students and families.
if we're gonna do it, let's do it. I'm all in, because
okay,
I tell you
continue.
what, if you look at all those things, and to Dan's point, probably on all those, the student activity fund gets asked a lot more questions
Right.
than the police contract services projects. Of
Yeah.
the three there, I bet the student activity fund gets dinged 20 times in the course of a year.
Yeah, so Casey and I balance them, and they're in the reports here, but it's a lot of time on our teams to allocate them, to say, whoa, this doesn't look like it belongs to this
Right.
subcategory. I just wanted to. The audit update, the final field work is happening now. They've had 4 to 5 auditors here every day. Our goal is to have them say they don't need to come back next week. I did ask the partner today, he said he's not promising that, but they shouldn't be here all of next week. They've been provided with all the financial data for all the funds. We're balancing the government-wide financial statements now. We had, they wanted us to calculate the present value of the lease a little bit differently, and then we can finish that off. I still have to prepare the notes to the financial statements, management's discussion and analysis, but there hasn't been anything that they've asked for that they haven't had.
How much of that language is boilerplate year to year, and how much do you craft? How much time do you actually spend drafting that?
So the financial statements, it's all the same, but just balancing it.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the notes in the MDL.
The notes are just updating the numbers, and since it's all very manual, in my old life, it was all linked to the trial balances, but it's not. So I would say the notes probably take 8 hours, and management's discussion and analysis probably the same.
Okay.
But, and I expect to stay ahead of them and have them conclude next week with a final product. They have to go through their final reviews, but as we talked about, that they said in their engagement letter that we needed to provide them everything, and one point, but didn't look like we were getting those actuary reports, but, thanks to Steve stepping in, we have them. So that's all good news. We don't know of any issues that they're having, that, they're, thinking, you know, minute detail, like that 332,000 that the building fund transferred to the water, fund. We should probably subtract that from the capital asset, and, but I'm not sure we should do that, and so they're worried about very minute things, right? That, which is good, that they have time to do that. Any questions on any of that? All right.
I had just a quick question on the financial reports. To bring it up, the pickleball court had a minus 489,000 on it. Is that just because we're waiting on the cash from the grant?
Yes.
Do we have a time we expect that by any chance?
I believe we have to wait till the end to bill them for that, but we haven't spent any of the 489 yet. That everything we've spent on the pickleball courts. Oh no, sorry,
Yeah, we
I'm
must have spent
thinking
it
WPCA.
It's a negative,
Point
it's a
five.
negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, WPCA hasn't spent any of their steep yet. We've spent
Right.
steep.
All right, the debt policy, you were gonna revise it to their things and then send it to
Yep.
the Board of Finance. We just had to agree on the numbers, right?
So the debt policy, you had wanted it to talk about, so that was not new, I should have taken that out. That, underlined it. That, you had wanted it to, not be a must on the top paragraph and a recommended on the second paragraph. So it now says this policy recommends no more than 3.5% with a goal of 3%. And this is based on discussions with rating agencies. I couldn't find anything where a rating agency committed to what percents they like to see. But this is based on discussions with rating agencies and comparative data to similarly situated neighboring municipalities. Then below the same thing, that 10% instead of 12, and not having anything about the decreasing and then where that came from. Same sentence as above.
Go back. So on that other one, I agreed, and I still agree that detailed stuff that you crossed out, we don't need that level of detail, but I do think it'd be good to have a sentence in there that recognizes that after a large capital expenditure, we could pop over the 10, but if we do, we should work to get it down quickly,
Okay,
which I drafted if you wanted, so.
I absolutely do.
So and it's not great, right, it's really quick accepted, but it's recognized that the target level may be exceeded in years directly following large capital expenditures, and that returning to target levels should be a priority. Because if you don't have that, then someone could say, oh, you're over.
Right, we're laughing because it's good, not because we're laughing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
People would edit that as much as get it done. What would you forget to do?
She rocks.
See, do that and I can't type anymore. All right. I think that was the only change that was requested in here.
So then we're all good with that. So now take it to the Board of Selectmen, please. I mean, I'm not demanding, I'm asking. If you take that, have Steve take that to the Board of Selectmen for review.
So we want to go to the attorneys.
Attorneys, yep, fine, whatever. Go to
and then-
attorneys, then Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
I do think it should be a Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance policy,
Yeah,
that we both sign off on this.
I especially like that it goes to the attorney first.
Attorney
We have
first,
That confirmed.
then Board of Selectmen, and then back to us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
And Marcia, you sent us a whole other document, which was the considerations for policies and procedures. Is that something that?
I don't think that would be, those are the things that, when Steve said the policy was too long, that, but we wanted them someplace. Like all that, the bond council wants a policy on continuing disclosure. So that
So
would
is
be
this for FYI, or do you want us to, like?
mostly
read it?
FYI.
Okay.
If there was something you didn't like, let me know.
The only thing I didn't see in it, and maybe it doesn't belong in there, I don't know where it is some of the decision rate stuff. Like, just as an example, maybe it's in another document somewhere, but one of the things when we were looking at all this stuff is there's a little bit of money that we have for leases, or like copier leases or something like that. And I'm not sure who has the decision right to enter leases. Is that in another document somewhere? It wasn't in either of these. As far as I can tell.
Been in,
This one, he's financing, right?
What's that?
it had been in one of these, just because it's not in the charter. And so we got the,
Oh, so it was in this one.
Please
Because
finance
it
it.
was-
yep, so we had the bond council help us on what are the rules.
Which one are you in?
I'm in the
First
debt
one.
policy, and I'm on page 6.
Adopt a resolution. All right, so it's the board of selectmen. Okay, good. Yeah, I was looking at that one for.
With a
so this
fiscal
one.
funding clause, but yeah.
Yep, yep. Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Goes to the lawyers, then to Steve, and then back to us.
Okay,
Alright, so we've discussed that, now we're in new business. And I think, right, we're in new business, Dan?
I think we are.
So we have an announcement that's gonna be made tonight. I'll let Dan take the floor. It's all yours.
All right, well, so I've spoken individually to members here, but I just want to make it official that this will be my last meeting on the Board of Finance. Mixed emotions that I'm announcing this. I'll be submitting a letter to Andrea tomorrow. Never was my intention to cut my term short. I feel strongly about living up to obligations, and people write your name down and you wanna do right by them. So I do regret that, but sometimes life happens and decisions have to be made, so that's what's happening. I wanted to allow, I don't know exactly when my life transition is happening, but I wanted to make sure that whatever new members join had enough time to get his or her feet wet prior to budget season, so that's why I'm doing it now. I've enjoyed my 7 years with the group. I've learned a lot. Hopefully I've contributed. Mostly, working with you two for 7 years. I think we've done great work. We've had great people join us along the way. And I'm confident that with the team and the town, that it's set up for future success. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, without you, and obviously I know you're leaving, but Eileen as
Yeah.
well, like you say, and we got new members, we've really gone from, like we mentioned it earlier,
Yeah.
gone from where you were really nervous about the general fund and getting debt and everything else, and Eileen as well, that we've really brought this to a nice level, and it's because you've been a team player and you've really helped us all out. I think you brought things to our table that Eileen and I never thought of, and I could say that I never did, maybe not you. And you brought a stability to us that was amazing. You were one of our common sense people as well that brought a nice level-headed approach to your solutions. You looked at all sides, so everything you did, it's solely appreciated
Thank
from
you.
all of us, so thank you.
That's it.
That's it, let's go short and sweet. So now let's talk about this. We're announcing it now, it's September 11th, okay? October 7th, the Board of Finance, or Board of Selectmen can announce it, but we're gonna put it on the website as of tomorrow. Diane, you can take care of that? Get it on the website.
I'll let you know when my letter's submitted, so that will.
Yeah, we can still accept
Fine,
applications.
fine, okay.
So as of right now, we're accepting applications. We have 4 Democrats currently on this board. So it has to be a minority party, either a Republican or an unaffiliated,
Or independent.
or independent,
Yeah,
right?
not
They can't be a
Democrat.
Democrat, and it's not any slated anything,
Yeah.
the state says there's a minority rule, that there's 4 of Democrats on this board already, so we have to have it come from there. We'll ask Steve to announce it also in his October 7th Board of Selectmen meeting. I'd like to do interviews October 8th, if possible. That would give the person that we decide, we can decide it that night as well. That would give us the opportunity to have them go swear in the morning of our meeting or the afternoon of our meeting and attend our October 9th meeting.
If the Board of Selectmen are only announcing it on October.
We're announcing it now and it's gonna be on the website now, so that would give people that last day to get it in from the Board of Selectmen meeting.
Okay.
I mean, it's announced now, it's gonna be on the website, so it's out there in the open, this is 30 days. There's
We
no-
can ask Cynthia to put it in the monthly newsletter that comes out the 1st of October.
Perfect, then that's also, and then they can final announce it on the 7th, saying tomorrow's the deadline for resumes. Most people have a resume already done for the most part in today's day and age. And then we interview the 8th to give, I don't wanna lose a month possibly for the person, like Dan said, that when they come on, to get at least 2 meetings in before we really start to get back into that New Year stuff.
How is the person, do we vote on?
What happens is we'll accept resumes from various residents. We'll review them, we'll have time to review them, and then we interview them like 20 to 30 minutes. And then we have a vote. It's our vote. So it's the 5 of us that are gonna decide on who will join us as a team. I'll be honest with you, in the past, we've been very fortunate.
We have multiple-
Everybody,
yeah.
we've had Ricky come on board,
Ryan,
Ryan came on board, so I think
John Pitt.
we've found solutions, yes, to the,
Mulvaney, Mark Mulvaney, didn't he come on that way?
I think before my term.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
so,
He beat me.
so I think we have enough time. I think that allows us 30 days. It's announced tonight, it'll be on the website, it'll go out in the newsletter. They'll announce it on the 7th, they have till tomorrow to get it in. We'll interview on the 8th if everybody can make it. I mean, we'll talk to Mary and Naeed. We'll make a decision and get them started. I mean, the worst case scenario is we miss the interviews on the 8th and then we have to roll to the next meeting.
I mean, we could potentially, for the sake of having a new candidate join the meeting, postpone our meeting to a different week.
We
If
could,
we wanted to.
we could.
To give them the opportunity, if the scheduling doesn't work.
and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
That's a must be said, that life is good.
Good transitions.
Right, that's what I mean. This
Yeah.
isn't out of hardship, this is,
Yeah.
life is good.
Those are good.
So appreciate
Thank you.
everything. All right, I don't think we have any other items to come before the board. I don't think we have any other public comments, so I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dan, going out. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.